story after story after story. We have one more incredible speaker today. We are wrapping up with a fireside chat with Meghan Asha and Kurt Seidensticker, who is the founder at Vital Proteins and Starshot Ventures and co-founder Family Fund and founder Community. Welcome, Kurt and Meghan.
Thank you.
You know what's... Hi. All right. I love that we're ending with this because I feel like this is so full circle, Kurt. I think you spoke at one of our first events.
It was like 2016.
2016.
In New York, yeah.
And my dream was, with FounderMade, is to be able to see entrepreneurs like you start a business and build it to a place where the sky was the limit and see them acquired and all of it. And you've done that and much, much more. So congratulations.
Thank you, yeah.
It's not easy building a business, but this is why we're bringing people like Kurt up, is because this is what you can be. This is like, everybody's limitless if they tune into their superpower. And Kurt, I just want to thank you. You've been such an inspiration for our community and for so many founders out there. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you. I remember that first FounderMade. And when you're building a company, all you're doing is building a dream, right? And you don't really have this vision of where it's going as far as a sale or an exit or what the success is. You just have this idea in your mind and you just keep building it and keep building it. And the opportunity just keeps opening up for you.
So let's go back to your founder story, right? And what you were doing before, because I love that the last speaker is an eye surgeon that makes hair tools, right? There's no wrong answer in life. We are limitless. This is tune into your so when you were talk about your background, because it's crazy, and that you ended up building Vital Proteins. I mean, it's amazing.
So I was always an entrepreneur as a kid, right? And I always loved marketing. I always loved branding. But I also loved space, and I wanted to be an astronaut. So I was trying to think, first of all, I don't know why they give an 18-year-old the opportunity to decide what they want to do for the rest of their life. But I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and run a business. But I also knew that if I just studied business, I wanted to be able to solve problems. And so I studied aerospace engineering and went and worked at NASA for 5 years, spent 5 amazing years like learning how to fly the space shuttle and then training other astronauts how to fly the space shuttle and designing
No
missions.
big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal. Just going to space,
And after that, it's working for the government, right? And that doesn't have the entrepreneurial spirit, didn't quite have the space exploration that we have today with SpaceX and other ventures as well. And so I just wanted to get out and start developing my entrepreneurial skills. I got a minor actually in marketing and did a bunch of different work from initially right in the mid 90s, cell phone communications were coming out. So I designed this software that would help design cellular networks around the world. So I traveled around the world designing the first generation of cell phone systems and networks that we use today. And then the internet came about, and I started designing how we connect our cities together through fiber optics. Because before that, it was all dial-up networks, it was ad hoc networks, and there's just 25 of us working out of a strip mall in Colorado, and we said we're going to go along all these railway lines and connect every single major city in the world in 2 years, and that's the internet we use today. And from there, then I said, okay, what's gonna ride on these fiber optics, and building data centers. So I started a data center company to connect these hubs together. What rides on a data center? Well, now you need software services, e-commerce, and so I got into e-commerce in 2005, and developed really the first version of Shopify, which is an e-commerce platform. So if you think of the evolution of the internet, as e-commerce was coming along, there was no real standard platform for being able to offer that. And so I developed this platform, was recognized as one of the top 50 innovators in e-commerce. Did a steak business, a mail order steak business in 2005, and had an exit to Chef's Warehouse in 2009. And then just kind of thought what I want to do next. And I was always into health and wellness, and I said, let's integrate the health and wellness into what I want to do. And at the same time, I was getting older and looking at what I could do to recover from runs, and suddenly came across, like random, like I love to read and learn. And by the way, just to kind of talk about it, the acceleration of learning today is amazing with AI. The amount of information you can attain in a short amount of time to accelerate your ideas is phenomenal. But back then I was digging up research papers in the university and trying to understand how to recover from runs better because I was getting joint pains. I was in my late 40s, and I thought, well, I'm wearing down my joints. My daughter was in med school. We got some papers, and I read this one paper that talked about glycine, and it said it's essential for collagen synthesis in your body. And at that time, collagen was just a beauty supplement. Take 1 gram a day, do this, right? You'll get some beauty benefits. But I kind of thought, what if we took an efficacious dose of collagen that actually helped your body repair itself? And that's kind of like literally within a 1 week time of reading that paper, I go, wow, that's really a vital protein. And then I created the company right off of that. I knew right away that I could kind of create a category from that, and went off and started the company the next week, and then also ended up getting divorced because I did that so quickly.
And by the way, we all have many lives in life. So, and we learn and we grow from every experience, right? Selling companies, building businesses. The thing that is so fascinating about you is that you're so good at going into an industry, seeing what the future is. So the next Shopify, the next. And this is what I'm the most excited about is, okay, you sold your company, and I love builders like this. Like we have a lot of serial entrepreneurs building as I'm giving smiles to people because I think building is not about the money and the top of the mountain. It's about the fun of the playing, and I think we need to bring a lot more play into work. Like, right? I think that's probably why you want to be a lifelong builder, right? Yeah. So question is, now you sold the company, right? And you're building more stuff.
I know.
It's unbelievable. Where do we think? I feel like you're a soothsayer. You're going to tell us where the future of innovation and consumer brands and everything. But most people at your place would probably be like, I'm going to check out and hang out on boats. Boats aren't bad.
I did some of that.
We should all do that.
So I got some great advice from a lot of people who had an exit. They say after you have an exit, take a year off to kind of rediscover yourself, because what happens is you're building this company, it's growing so fast, and when you go through an exit, not only you're building this rocket ship, you're also going through an exit process, which is twice as much work. You come off of that on an adrenaline and cortisol high, and your body's not back down to its natural state of what you really want to do, and you could just be addicted to that adrenaline and say, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And
it becomes your identity a little bit, right? I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs and they don't know how to get out of their business and I even personally, as we've, it's I don't know if it's ego or what, but there is an identity that is what you think you were for so long, right?
Yeah, so I took a year off, and I was on a boat a little bit, and I did a bunch of other things, a lot of self-discovery, and you can look at like, okay, I could be an investor, right? And sometimes investment's a little bit too far removed, but what I really realized is my passion of building brands. I mean, that's not work to me. That's actually fun to me. Like building a brand, building a new category, seeing where health and wellness is going or what can be done is something that I enjoy doing every day. And so during that period of time, I said, okay, one of the big lessons I learned when I sold Vital was that, it does become your identity, but you spend years building a team and a process and a system and capabilities. And one of the biggest things about a success of a company isn't just the product you invented, it's the people and the team that make it work. And I cultivated it, and we built this amazing team at Vital. And when you sell it, you sell your team and you sell all your capabilities, and you're sitting there on an island, and you realize kind of that, okay, if I'm going to do something again, what I envision is creating this company called Starshot Ventures, which is basically you have a venture capital company which actually invests in brands, but actually the process of building the brand. But I didn't want to sell my team anymore, so most of my leadership team from Vital Proteins came over, and
which says a lot about you as a leader.
They still want to work with me, I guess.
I mean, I know, because I'm Shannon, who I've known for years and years, is amazing. Like, you have really incredible people around you.
Great team, and we I used to say we sprint, but we work so well together because we know each other so well, and we've built an ecosystem to build brands and to bring entrepreneurs in, and it's a plug-and-play system, and we've built our own. I probably built 6 or 7 manufacturing facilities through Vital. We've built our own manufacturing capabilities in Tennessee, and we built this infrastructure of just a team that have empowered each person to be a leader of a brand. So Shannon's the leader of a brand called BioMe, and we basically help each other out build these brands. And so we have a whole ecosystem, whether it's from marketing, sales. I just got back from Texas with a meeting for Whole Foods. And we have salespeople, we have e-commerce, we have manufacturing, we have supply chain, we have innovation, and it's a rapid way of accelerating ideas. And so that's kind of where, A, I like building companies, but B, I also like building brands.
I mean, the interesting thing is, because of your purview, number one, that you're an innovator just naturally, right? And then number two, you've scaled a brand, and it was also something. The other piece that's difficult about Vital Proteins is you had to educate everybody. Nobody knew about collagen. Those types of businesses, and when you're a segment-defining consumer brand, where you have to say, okay, this is what it is. Similar to Vega, like when they were plant protein, you have to go into Costco and say, hey, let me tell you why you need your collagen, right? And so I think that even that playbook is a very hard playbook to actually. It's one of those, like, it's the piece where it's a disruptor, and it's very hard for other product movers to come in, but it is part of the secret sauce.
Yeah, you're doing the heavy lifting, right? If you look at the genesis of Vital, when we first had the first year, I was trying to get the word out there and teach people about the benefits of taking like 20 or 40 grams of collagen a day in a powder, and wasn't getting anywhere. And I was standing in Whole Foods, waiting in line, getting my groceries, and I saw Paleo FX magazine, and there was a conference down in Austin, which I think a lot of us have been to. And when I went there, I suddenly realized, this is 2014. There were so many other people there that were innovators, and they had platforms to talk about brands and educate people. And I realized that the education was the biggest part of this. Getting out there all the time and just talking and talking and talking, meeting people, having other people advocating for your brand. And so you're basically creating this groundswell of education, of like guerrilla marketing. And in that first year, we did like 30 events and just met people and kept talking. And I think in 2019, before we sold, if you count every single event that we were doing, we did 10,000 events in a year. And we had a team of like 60 people out there just going out and talking and developing that personal connection with consumers rather than an advertisement hitting them on their phone. So.
And I think that actually, if you really, even now, and even with everything with digital marketing, the personal connection is the key. I will always be a repeat buyer of something that is a mission-driven thing that comes from a person, right, that I can trust. We all want to be able to trust and understand the story behind the brand and the innovator behind it. So it's really brilliant.
And I probably spent probably 3 or 4 days a week out on the road talking to customers, and from that I could learn why they were taking the product, how they were taking about the product, how they were taking it, crowdsourcing the ideas, hearing like, hey, I take this for this reason, and not even knowing that was a benefit of the product. So
talk to your customers all the time. So now let's talk about Starshot Ventures, and you guys have rapidly. I mean, how many brands do you have?
So we have 6 brands in the portfolio now. I also think about this, like we started this a year and a half, 2 years ago. And
so quick.
Like, wait, we already have a factory. We have like 40 people.
When you say this, I say, how the heck and how do you sleep, and what's your eating and sleeping regime on top of doing it? It's awesome.
So I think it's one of my leadership styles is empowering people, right? So I think finding their special skill and empowering them to do that. So the team, because we already have a lot of experience together, empowering them to kind of like, Karin Johnson was my chief marketing officer. I was like, and I've built like 7 factories. And I said, Karin, you want to be in charge of designing and building our next factory? I'll give you some tidbits of how we did it, and I'll get you the people that you need to work with. And you're now the factory manager. You're going to build this factory. And she loved it. She loved the challenge of being able to design a factory. And, I would chime in with her and empower her to do that. And basically we built a factory in like 9 months. So. And
even your thoughts around building a factory, because this is also the other reason you were or Vital Proteins was such a key target for acquisition, was to make sure that you didn't have a contract manufacturer or anything like that, right? It was, you wanted to own that, the IP, own how everything was working. It made it much more valuable as a brand, correct?
Yeah, I think when you look at Vital's collagen, like no one could recreate what we had and our ability to scale as well. We were so agile. We got the Costco business, and we're essentially able to turn out like a trainload of product in 5 days. Like you can't do that with a co-man. And imagine being at Costco and your shelves are empty for 12 weeks while you're waiting for your co-man to do it. And so that agility let us innovate, especially when the collagen market started to blow up. Retailers wanted us to do a whole brand block. I don't know if you guys remember 2017, 2018, we had entire pods of product, sometimes 2 pods, sometimes even a whole aisle of product. And that innovation or that ability for us just to manufacture and create products, not all were great.
And it was great because marketing wise, you guys looked already like the market leader before, and nobody could, it was very hard for any other brands to enter. So let's talk about the 6 brands that you've done in 6 brands, guys. 6 brands in a year and a half, and and how many factories?
Yeah, we have 1 factory right now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about them and the thesis behind each of them.
Yeah. So interesting enough, I've had these ideas of different brands, but also you need to have a founder that's connected to that brand for a specific purpose, right? So BioMe was one of our first brands, and the whole idea was really reinventing. Collagen kind of invented this idea that a protein can be functional and actually provide you health and wellness benefits simply beyond the macro. And I really believe that your gut biome was a significant factor to your overall health and wellness, if not more so than collagen, because it was your gateway to your entire existence, right? All your nutrients, all your immunity, all of your other health and wellness benefits. So BioMe was purely structured on, can we reinvent the concept of what fiber is and what gut health is? And there's companies out there like Seed, which are looking at specific probiotics, but fiber as a macro ingredient provides so much health and wellness benefits beyond saying, oh, just get your fiber and you'll be regular. And the whole idea behind the gut-brain axis barrier, there's
skin
definitely
health,
the studies, inflammation.
Studies. By the way, you have as many. What's the study about your brain basically being connected to your?
There's more living symbiotic organisms in your gut than you are. Which is
so if you have a gut feeling, you should listen to it, right? Should all be listening to your gut while you're building things, and you should be taking good care of it.
Yeah. So
you're disrupting the fiber market.
Disrupting it.
Which is great. We need, what is it, Mucilex? Is that the Asha?
Mucilex. Nestle. I was in Wall Street Journal. I said, we're going after some of Nestle's products. They weren't too happy on that. But.
It's tough. Anyways, okay, so that's one of the products. Then, and then talk about the other 5.
And then another one is called Bond, which so Shannon and Chloe Milas, our other co-founder, had very much they were very resonant with gut issues. Right, having worked with them for years, I knew them personally and. Sorry to talk too much about Shannon, but also Karin Johnson, who is my CMO, fertility issues. And so we looked at women's reproductive health and women's hormonal health and stuff. So I brought her in to lead up a brand called Bond, which is looking at advanced supplements for women's hormonal health from a fertility perspective as well as cycle balance and overall hormonal health.
Brilliant, and definitely something needed as we're all, in the phase of looking at the fertility movement and what's happening there. What other brands?
We have an immunity health company called She, which is actually looking at rejuvenating your immune system. So if you think about, sometimes looking at like reinventing what people do when they feel under the weather, or how they empower or how they supercharge their immune system, you can actually rejuvenate your immune system to make it even healthier. Think about it like if you go to the gym, you're rejuvenating your muscles. How do you actually train your immune system to be healthy? And that's the intention behind that brand.
This is like the coolest biohacking science experiment. I'm like, wait, what else? All right, give me some more. My gut is good. My immunity.
So another one's a passion project, is because when I started Vital, I started as a running supplement company, and as we learned who our consumers were, we're a collagen brand, we're a peptide brand, and it really resonated with wellness from the perspective of beauty, right? Skin, hair, nails, really resonated with women. I kind of lost the contact with running, and so I really felt that collagen still had a very strong role for runners. And we have Dan and Cameron. Cameron led up Nike Run. Dan was my trainer who never believed in running, is now a diehard runner. But the idea is that we did this whole cohort study of what runners and who they are, and it turns out runners have no consistent plan as far as dietary supplements or their nutrition. They're winging it. They're either taking peanut butter in the morning, they're taking a bagel.
I'm going to tell you are correct on this, as I've been marathoning, and I will tell you that I am the most inconsistent eater. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to run when I'm fast. I'm going to run when I fast, right? I'm going to fast and run. No, I'm going to carb load and run.
I'm going to drink coffee on an empty stomach, and I'm going to run 20 miles and then wonder why I'm feeling like crap. That's it. Or I'm going to eat so much pasta and my stomach hurts these are the things that I'm struggling with personally, and I'm sure there's a lot. So what are we doing for runners?
So we looked at what the nutritional needs of runners were. We looked at what their habits were, and we basically created a foundation product that doesn't, like, the biggest problem with runners is, do I take it before or after? The whole idea is it's a foundational product that they take every day. Doesn't matter when they take it. It actually helps with their VO2. It helps with their recovery. Helps with their joint repair. It helps with muscle repair. And so it's all in one. And the name of the company is called Runway. So
I love this. I can't wait to be involved or be one of your people to use it. And I hope it's helping with runners' stomach, because that is a key issue for me.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, what else?
Yeah, there's fiber in there too.
That's great. No, it's big.
I guess overall, then, like, we have a couple brands in development. That one thing I learned at Vital when we looked at collagen, we over the years discovered the peptide of collagen. You can kind of control the end of the molecule and get different benefits, whether it was for the skin or whether it was for joints. And so I've been just kind of doing a lot of research in the peptide space, and we all know, like, peptides is kind of a big area for longevity. So we're developing this peptide company to help bring a larger scale, or bring peptides to the masses for longevity. So.
And what do peptides do for longevity exactly?
The coolest thing is that they're essentially messages to your body to do what it needs to do. So if you go back 20 years, people were taking drugs to actually replace what your body's supposed to be doing. But what peptides are, it's basically a text message to your body saying, go do this. Or it's a little message says, I want you to go do this. I want you to go do this. And so as the peptide market expands, our entire bodies function on the basis of signaling and message of protein molecules, which are peptides, and it's depending on how the end of the peptide is signaling to tell your body what to do from sleep. There's a cool one called DSIP, which is called Delta Sleep Inducing Peptide. I can't do melatonin, but if you guys have tried it, it's basically whenever you're asleep, you fall asleep, you're in delta sleep and you're deep sleep, which is the recovery sleep. And this peptide's all it's doing is just signaling your body is like, instead of being in light sleep, just be in deep sleep and recover.
Brilliant.
It's really cool stuff. So.
And especially as we're living longer and our sleep and all of these things. And again, I love that you're doing this with the thought process of how do I help a human live their best life, right? And that's, I think, the thing that we can take away from this is if you're building something, and I always believe like money is energy, you want to be successful, sure, but you build stuff that is thoughtful on how you're helping other people. And then all of it happens, right? And of course there'll be hard parts and all. I'm sure you've had like the storms, right? But it's really brilliant the way that you're thinking about things and how and where the market's going. So if you were a brand now in longevity or in wellness, what would be your advice on what to focus on? How to build it, I'm sure, you have a bunch of portfolio companies that you're invested in as well. What is the advice that you give people for this market and where things are? Because there's so many products on the market, right? Some people can't afford to do, build their own factory, all that. So what's a good advice?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is have a narrow mission statement and be so passionate about that mission and be the rally call for educating people about what that benefit is. So, sometimes you can be you kind of know you want to be in a certain category, you want to be something. Really identify who you are, what you want to be, what you want to be creating, and just like never stop, right? I don't know if you guys have a friend, Lindsay Goodstein, who does Alice Functional Mushrooms.
I love Alice Functional Mushrooms. I'm a repeat
That's
customer.
a great example of
Brilliant.
a founder who is basically so passionate about one thing. It's a chocolate with some functional ingredients, not psychedelics, and she's crushing it, right? And so it's a successful company is going to have a founder who is nonstop focused on one thing and being the best at it.
So you're saying even in SKUs, you would go much more narrow, or what? Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Less is more.
Lessons learned from Vital, right? Because when the collagen category was being created, we were in every single store everywhere. We're in Neiman Marcus, Dollar Club. We were in Whole Foods, we're in Safeway, we were everywhere,
that's
right?
So many different types of customers to have to service. Like it's not
everyone wanted a unique SKU and everyone wanted something different and no one knew where this category was going. And so we had like 250 SKUs and I would say 85% of them were producing, only all 85% were producing like 10% of our revenue. Right?
It's that 80-20 rule.
Yeah. And so what you end up doing is our factories were inundated with changing over to new ingredients and supply chain gets to be an issue. And so you want to focus on one thing and be the best at it. And that's kind of what we did with Vital too, is we took the flag and said, one of our mottos is we are collagen, not only our bodies, but that's all we are. We are collagen. And by being that one thing, we were recognized as the experts and the leaders and the trusted brand for it. And that's ultimately what an acquirer is looking for, right? They're not looking for, acquirers have broad portfolios, but they want that one niche product that fits their portfolio that's the best in that category.
So let's talk about your superpower. And I'm sure you've learned it from building so many different businesses. Now, what is Kurt's superpower?
I've studied this in the time that I've looked at myself.
And do you work with executive coaches or your friends, or do you have anybody that's your confidant that as you were building? I'm
just me. Yeah. My friends who know
good.
me, it's like
you just
I'm a little
ask
quirky.
Your higher self.
When I was a kid, I was very shy, and when you're a shy person, you become an observer of people, right? And I've talked about this. So that used to be my weakness, is just being a little bit introverted, a little bit shy, but really understanding who people are, how they interact, what their skill sets are. And I've kind of turned that into my superpower then, is being able to now recognize people and see a skill in them or an ability or something very unique in them, and then help them build that and empower them. I tend to empower people ahead of the curve of where they feel they might be, but I know they're capable of doing that when they might not know it themselves. So I think that leadership style of like, go build a factory and you've got 6 months to do it, I know you can do it, right? Things like that, and that ability to empower and trust people and stuff like that to do that, and give them the guardrails to do it is probably the biggest success factor I think that I've had. So,
and I love and it's, by the way, it's so interesting because we all have everyone says, oh, I'm on the spectrum, or we're all just have our different talents, right? And I love that you using the thing that you were probably when you were a little boy, like as the thing that's sometimes like you think is your Achilles heel as your superpower. And I think there's something to be said about quiet leadership, quiet, humble, leadership where you're vulnerable and you see the people and you empower them. And I think that's really what our world needs more of. And it's beautiful the way that you've been building.
Yeah, funny thing is when I sold to Nestle, right? Ultimately, when the sale closes, like I was grooming Tracy Halamu, who's my head of sales, to be my replacement, and slowly promoting her and giving her more and more responsibilities. And then, the last few weeks, she took over as CEO, and I'm like showing her everything how to do it and stuff. And biggest thing I had to teach her is like, no, you got this all wrong. The CEO isn't in charge. You're in service to everyone else. Your job is to service everyone else and to make sure that they're able to do their jobs. You're not like the person in charge. Like, you may have to make some tough decisions, but it's really you're there to be a servant leader. So,
I love that. May we all have that energy into all of what we're building, because at the end of the day, we don't know why we're here, but we know why we're here, and we all have our special talents. But part of our special talents and part of what we're building is building for other people, is building a better world for future generations. So my last question, and this is a very big one, but your legacy. Like, do you think about that? And what do you want? What would you? I don't know if it's what you want your tomb, but what do you want people to say?
Yeah, people have been saying this about me, which I didn't really realize, but it's like I would like to be known for helping transform health and wellness. And I think one thing that we did at Vital is we made it a lifestyle. We weren't selling a product. We were teaching people how to have a healthy life. And so I think, the things that I'm passionate about is health and wellness and how to help people be healthy and happy. So
I love that. And just one point on health and wellness especially, and I'm not going to, but we, sometimes we overprescribe. The country we're giving people false health advice. Doctors are giving people health. And I have to say this because it is something that I think about the disparity of wealth in this country, and I think about how we are telling people that it's okay to be on diabetes. We're going to give you medication, and the money that we're putting towards this incentive structure is not for the doctors. It's not for the people. And so now I think it's important that people like you come in and we say the truth of how you're supposed to live, how you're supposed to treat your body, and what you're supposed to do with it for everyone, not just for the 1%,
Yep.
Not just for the 1%. I love that we get to do this and we get to be fancy. It's not just for the 1%, it's for the people that need it, because when you don't feel good in your body, you cannot do anything. When you don't feel good with yourself, you cannot do anything, right? And so thank you for that.
And you realize that it's achievable for everyone, right? And there's so many things that are just simple. Sleep, right? Healthy foods, right? Exercise. You get those three things right, that's 80-90% of the whole effort. And a lot of people just need to be shown or taught what is healthy eating like and what is healthy exercise. I walk 2 hours a day. That's like healthy for me, right? And there's so many things that people can just be taught to live a healthy life. And I think that's kind of what I'd want to be known for. So.
Bring the light, Kurt. We're ready for it. All of you. Guys, this has been, I have to say, after ever, I just want to say how grateful I am that you guys all showed up. Everyone was here early, been here all day. And getting to know these people this is part of the business, is get to build relationships. So I hope you guys have found a lot of value with this. Thank you.
Thanks, Meg.